We're going to call this meeting of the TRPA Operations and Governance Committee to order. The date is Wednesday, June 24th, 2026, and it is 8:35. First item on our agenda is our roll call. Maria?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Bass? Ms. Gustafson?
Here.
Ms. Hill?
Here.
Ms. Lane?
Here.
Mr. Tolbert? Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay, great. First item on our agenda is to go over the remote and in-person meeting rules for the day. Remote committee members, please raise your hand to speak and mute your microphone unless speaking to cut down on background noise. I'd like to ask that all remote members turn on your camera if you are able. Remote members may not use the chat box to make any comments or to have sidebar conversations. Members of the public who have joined us in person, please raise your hand at the appropriate time for public comment, and you will be called on to speak in the front of the room. Committee members who are in person, please raise your hand if you wish to comment, state your name, and speak clearly into the microphone in front of you. The next item on our agenda is the public comment period for any items listed on the agenda. Any member of the public wishing to address the committee on an agenda item, please raise your hand now, either in person or by clicking the raise hand button. Let's see, you will be unmuted by a TRPA staff member. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. This comment period is reserved for items on the agenda. Comments on other matters may be redirected to the public interest comment period at the end of our meeting right before adjournment. Are there any members in the room that wish to address the board on agenda items at this time? Seeing none, may we go online?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised to make public.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and close the public comment period and move to approval of the agenda. Mr. Cox, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay, great. I'll deem the agenda approved as posted. We're now on agenda item number 4, approval of the minutes. We have a draft set of minutes from May 27th, beginning on page 13. Does any member of the committee wish to make any changes? Okay. Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Beautiful. All right, let's move on to item number 5A. This is discussion and possible recommendation for approval of the May financials. This information can be found on page 63. And I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Cox at this time.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Thanks, Chad Cox, for the record, TRPA finance leader. So we get to go through the May financials. I know we got to meet last month and go through April. Not a ton of change from April to May. We'll be working through the main finalization of the financials in June and as we go through our audit process this summer and fall. But there are some updates that I'll bring you through today. So revenue is at 72% of budget. A couple of things to note is planning fees continue to track to our budget, which is good. And I'll get into more detail there. That's something we've had our eye on and continue to watch each month. The other thing I'd say for May is we saw summer kickoff. Really, May is when boating season starts. So we see an increase in our AIS inspection fees. So as boats come in and want to recreate in the summer, they go through the inspection process. Remember, we did make a change where all boats are being inspected going forward as part of the process to try to eliminate any possibility of the golden mussel in the lake. So that ramped up. And then from an expenditure perspective, we're roughly 2/3 through, comps right on track, and I'll walk you through some more detail here. It is budget season as well, so hopefully the California budget will come out here in a couple weeks in July. appropriations were whole in the May revise, and or in the May, revise, and I expect the same for July. So that's the highlights. Digging into some detail on the revenue, we did see no change in state revenue. Obviously, that's been completed, or the local revenue, but we did see grants uptick a little bit more in May, which is good. We're at 50% of grant invoicing, 75% of the way through the year. Brooke and I connected, and you have some questions on this. How do we think we're going to land? I think we'll get between 90% to close to budget for grants. We still have 1 quarter to invoice. Some of those tend to be back end loaded for a couple of things. One is there's the seasonality of the work that we do, because we're busy right now doing project implementation. And then secondly is that's our time. Certain grants are billed, on an annual versus quarterly basis. So talking to the team, we do have a good chance to get close to the budget. To the extent that we didn't, it would just carry over to the next fiscal year. We're not seeing any grants be dialed down. So yeah, grants seem good. Just for perspective, last year at this time we were only at about $6.5 million. So we're stronger than last year, and we were at about 44% of budget. And we got to budget last year as well. So just kind of historically, it seems like we're on. Yep. So that's an update on grants. Rent revenue is right on track. We got 1 more month to book in June. And then our other revenue, which is mainly driven by our investment income. Remember, we had our principal group on last month to talk us through how that works. And then our funds with the states get booked. The California specifically gets booked on a quarterly basis. So I see no issue with our other revenue getting to plan. So yeah, looks good. And we'll obviously go through the full results as we go through the audit and bring that to you guys later this fall. Final thing to end here: mitigation revenues are 2.1, similar to last month, and we will be bringing some mitigation projects to you here in a few, which Tracy will do later in the session. So that's good as well. So with that, any questions on revenue? Cool. Let's jump to expenses. Top one there, one of the larger numbers, right, is our compensation. We're right on track, 91%, technically 92% of the way through the year. We've got 2 more payrolls to make. We made our final payroll, just worked with Casey today to get that finalized for the fiscal year. And then there's some accruals in order to break that last payroll between the 2 fiscals. And yeah, I think we should be on track for the year. Contracts are at 50%, which is aligned with grants, where, as part of the audit, and part of the reason it takes the audit so long to work through, to bring to you, is we go through and ensure we got all invoicing in from the year, and all those payments are made for our contracts. Remember, we're not necessarily a granting agency, but we do most, as we take on the grants, we rely on third parties to implement. We're kind of project managers in a way, and most of the implementation is done through third party, which is why we have such a large contracts number. So, as grants come up to plan, contracts should come up to plan. From a financing perspective, I'd communicated that we would be there for May. We are not. We did make the payment, but it's sitting in escrow, and it will be applied in June. Talking to my finance team, so no issue with that number. It was paid. Financing is good. It just was sitting in escrow in May and will be applied in June. So you'll see that number come to budget for the audit. And then we do still have a few, says here 400,000 to go. But once again, this is also just getting contracts in. I think we've executed everything that we planned to for, building deferred maintenance and things like that. So I see us working our way up to the budget as well here as we close out the fiscal year. Mitigation expenses are at 1.2. Tracy's got a couple $100,000 coming to you, and then we also had I think it was a property purchase with the Conservancy as well this month that will help to bring our mitigation number maybe up to what is that? 300 plus a couple hundred. So maybe 1.718. So not quite to the full 2 million that we brought in, but we'll continue to spend down those mitigation funds as projects come to us. Any questions on expenses? Okay, the last slide here is just on cash flow. From a cumulative cash flow perspective, we are still at a positive. If you look at historically, we tend to trend closer to zero. Some of this is because our mitigation funds here are part of this figure. So we've brought in more mitigation than we've expended. So that explains about $1 million. And then the remainder we will spend down as we pay for those contracts and align those with grants. So I don't see us having much at the very end of the year other than the difference between the mitigation that came in and the mitigation that came out. So yeah, it's a good spot to be in. We will, from a cash perspective, work to invoice both states for our appropriations in early July to hopefully receive those in July or August, so we can then, spend those down for the next fiscal year, which is why you tend to see it spike in the first month or the second month of the fiscal year and then drop down throughout the year. So yeah, all looks good on the cash front. Any other questions?
Don't see any.
Yeah, we don't have a next what's up next in the agenda. We didn't put that on there, but just high level. July, we may take a pass on July. We don't have financials to review in July. The only reason we would have an ops committee meeting in July is if there's additional mitigation projects to bring to you. And then otherwise we'll be on track for typical, monthly financials, treasury report and whatnot going forward. So that would be the only thing. If we need to have one, we will. And if not, we'll pass. So
Okay.
With that, that concludes my report. Open for any other general questions or comments.
Okay, any questions or comments from my board members here in the room? No? Anybody, board members online? Any
No, thank you.
questions? Okay, great. Then I will entertain a motion to recommend acceptance of the May 2026 financial statements.
So moved.
Thank you. There's a motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, may we do a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Bass, Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Gustafson,
Yes.
Mr. Tolbert, and Ms. Lane.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you for that. Now we get to head into the fun stuff. So this is item 5B, discussion and possible recommendation for approval for release of El Dorado County water quality mitigation funds in the amount of $50,000 towards the Fallen Leaf Road rehab project. Information on this item can be found starting on page 21, and I would like to turn this over to Ms. Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, members of the committee. So for the record, Tracy Campbell with the EIP department here at TRPA with this request, as you mentioned, from El Dorado County for the release of $50,000 in water quality mitigation funds for the Fallen Leaf Road rehabilitation project. So the entire, there are 3 phases to this project. We're talking about phase 1, but the entire project will rehabilitate approximately 5 miles of Fallen Leaf Road from State Route 89 there all the way up to Stanford Sierra Camp. And I know most of us have driven that road. And we can all attest that it probably needs some work.
Yeah.
So this current request, I mentioned that this will support phase 1, which extends from SR 89 up to the entrance of Fallen Leaf Campground, and that's approximately 0.6 of a mile. As we can see in the image, portions of that roadway experience drainage and runoff issues that contribute to water quality concerns and roadway deterioration. And the planned improvements include roadway reconstruction, drainage infrastructure, roadway widening where appropriate, which is a lot of the road, I would imagine, and some safety upgrades. The project does support TRPA's water quality threshold standards and the environmental improvement program by reducing stormwater runoff impacts and improving roadway conditions. So the requested funds of $50,000 also provide local match for a $1 million Lake Tahoe Restoration Act award from the Forest Service. And for this item, we are joined online by Donaldo Palarone from El Dorado County, senior civil engineer, if you have any questions about the project. So we'll pass that back. Thank you.
Okay, great. And thank you, Mr. Palerone, for being online. Are there any questions regarding this project from board members in the room? No? Any comments from our board members online?
No, thank you.
Okay. Then let's go ahead and bring this back to the committee for a recommendation to approve the release of these funds. I would love to make the motion. Thank you. Yes, I'll go ahead and recommend approval of the release subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. So that'll be the motion. Are there any questions, comments on the motion? Okay, Maria?
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Bass, Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Gustafson,
Yes.
Mr. Tolbert, Ms. Lane.
Yes.
Madam Chair, motion passes.
Great. Item 5C is also from El Dorado County. This is our mitigation funds, 35,000 towards the Cattleman's Basin Black Bart retrofit project. This item can be found starting on page 87. And again, I'll turn it over to Ms. Campbell.
Thank you once again. For the record, Tracy Campbell with the EIP department. Another request from El Dorado County for the release of 35,000 in operations and maintenance funds for the Cattleman's Basin Black Bart retrofit project. The Black Bart Basin was originally constructed as part of the Pioneer Trail 3 erosion control project that was back in 2001. And over time, the basin transitioned into a wet basin, resulting in outlet structures becoming submerged for much of the year, which limits the county's ability to inspect and maintain that facility. This project will retrofit the outlet structures so they discharge above the water surface, allowing safe access for inspections, sediment monitoring, sediment removal, and just general routine maintenance. So you probably remember back in August of last year, you approved funds. That was for the retrofit of the neighboring Cattleman's Basin. That was completed last year. And the image on this screen, I think that shows the completed new pipe outlet. So we'll be looking at the same thing. And once again, we're joined by Donaldo Palerone from El Dorado County. If you have questions, I'll pass that back. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there questions of the committee members in the room? No?
No.
Any questions online? Nope, see done. Then I'll bring it back to the committee for a motion, and I would be happy to make the motion to recommend approval of the release subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. So with that motion, any questions or comments on the motion? Okay, Maria?
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Bass, Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Gustafson.
Yes.
Mr. Tolbert, Ms. Lane.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. And my favorite item, 5D, is a possible recommendation for approval of release of mobility mitigation funds to the Tahoe Transportation District for the 2026 Emerald Bay Shuttle and Parking Management Pilot Project. This information can be found beginning on page 93. And again, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We saved your favorite for the last. So for the final time, Tracy Campbell with the EIP department here at TRPA with this request from El Dorado County for $38,000 in mobility mitigation funds for the Emerald Bay Shuttle and Parking Management Program. Emerald Bay, as we know, is one of the most visited destinations in the basin, and it experiences significant congestion, roadside parking, and safety challenges during the peak season. This project supports a seasonal shuttle service and parking management measures designed to provide convenient alternatives to personal vehicle travel, improve safety, and reduce environmental impacts in that corridor. The program builds on the success of last year's pilot effort, which demonstrates the value of combining transit, parking management, and enforcement strategies to improve visitor access while reducing travel impacts. The funding will support continued implementation of these improvements. And once again, we're joined online by Donaldo, and obviously we have you, Ms. Lane, if anybody has any questions related to this program, and I will pass it back for the final time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Are there any questions or comments from my fellow committee members? Mr. Rodriguez.
Just one question, Ruben Rodriguez for the record. What is considered a positive metrics in terms of reducing traffic in the area using the shuttle? What are some of the data we collected from last year?
Yeah, well, the ridership is key, right? And so we kind of by utilizing guerrilla warfare in terms of getting the information out, because the project starting didn't give a lot of lead time. So we had 5,000 riders last year over the period of about 8 weeks. We have capacity for almost 30,000. So we've really worked hard this year on getting the word out. And in fact, a little plug for Vail Resorts. Without any coordination with really anybody, Vail on their own, they decided to wrap 2 of their gondola cars in the Emerald Bay theme. And then on top of that, they put in every gondola car a map that's about, I don't know, 3 feet tall and 18 inches wide. And it says, if you want to visit Emerald Bay, this is how you do it. And it shows the fixed route service. It shows the transit. It's quite remarkable that they just took that step all on their own. So as we begin to gain momentum, there's also another metrics, and that is the fares that we're going to be collecting that will just go right back into the program. So eventually we hope that with no parking at Emerald Bay, the shuttle or waterborne transit is the only way to get there. And the revenue that we generate from that year after year will hopefully be able to sustain the transit so that we're not constantly seeking federal funding, state funding that always has so many strings attached. So that's ultimately the goal. I hope that that kind of answers your question.
It does. Thank you so much, Chair.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
And my only comment is incredible work, Brooke.
Mm.
You really have done so much to lead this charge and make it happen.
Well,
Your leadership. Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's definitely something that I have a very strong attachment to, but I want to say that I couldn't have done anything without the team, which is about 13 agencies throughout the basin, including, Caltrans and TTD and Placer County. So we all do this together, and without everyone's participation, this wouldn't have worked. So kudos to the team. Any other questions or comments? Okay, then I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of the release subject to the conditions contained in this staff report. Are there any further discussion or questions on the motion? Okay, Maria?
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Bass, Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Gustafson,
Yes.
Mr. Tolbert, and Ms. Lane.
Yes,
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
thank you. And we would have no problem asking for more mitigation funds. If there's money there, let me know. That's right.
Well,
Right.
great job to El Dorado County. Yeah, those are all great projects.
Thank you. That's cool. All right, let's move to committee member comments. Are there any committee members that have questions or comments at this time? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Hill online, you're good?
Yes, and congratulations to your county, Madam
Oh,
Chair.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Okay, then we'll go and move on to our public interest comments. This is the final matter of business in our general public interest comment period. Any member of the public wishing to address the Operations and Governance Committee on any item listed or not listed on our agenda may do so at this time. Are there any members in the room that wish to address the committee? Seeing none, we'll go online, please.
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised to make public comment.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and close public comment, and I will accept a motion to adjourn at this time.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we stand adjourned at 9 p.m.
AM.
AM.